The Antonov AN-225 is not a very comfortable aircraft, and they did this on purpose. Its purpose was to carry space shuttles. But what if this six-engine Cold War-era behemoth, the largest aircraft ever built, had been built to carry people instead of cargo? In this daring aviation what-if scenario, we imagine a different reality in which the AN-225 becomes the world's most extreme passenger aircraft. Its huge wingspan, enormous capacity, double-decker bus-like seat structure, and six giant engines keep it flying through the air. However, it would not be enough to fit seats in this monster, because it would be too costly to convert this cargo giant into a large flying bus. How many passengers can it hold? How far can it fly? Can this flying giant from the Soviet Union really meet modern commercial aviation standards? Let's start with some basic figures. With a maximum takeoff weight of 640 tons, the Antonov AN-225 weighs almost twice as much as the Boeing 747-8. With 32 wheels, a length of 88.4 meters, and a wingspan of 84 meters, it presents airport owners with a challenge. With six Ivchenko Progress D18T turbofan engines, it can lift a building off the ground. However, the main question is this. Thanks to the enormous internal volume of the AN-225, a full-size two-deck cabin is theoretically possible. Business and first-class seats can be found upstairs, and economy-class seats downstairs. The aircraft can carry 1.000 to 1.200 passengers when heavily configured. In comparison, the maximum speed of the Airbus A380 is approximately 868. However, there is a tightrope between weight and balance that gives him a hard time on it. Kitchens, toilets, cabin furniture, passengers, and luggage all add to the weight. The AN-225 is designed to carry cargo, not passengers. Furthermore, passenger transport introduces a whole new set of engineering requirements. When fully loaded, the range of the AN-225 as a freighter is about 4,000 kilometers. In a dense passenger configuration, the weight of the aircraft will increase even more, and its range will decrease to about 2,500 to 300 to 500 kilometers, which is not enough for transatlantic flights. Only a lighter, lower capacity model with more fuel, improved engines, and aerodynamic improvements offers 5,000 kilometers of hovering. Let's face it, the AN-225, built in the 1980s using Soviet military engineering, will be a noisy and uncomfortable experience for modern commercial passengers. The climate control, pressurization system, and cabin insulation were not designed with human comfort in mind. It is the people who complain because things have no language. Flying in an AN-225 converted into a passenger aircraft would not be the same as flying in an Airbus A350. It is more like traveling secretly in a military cargo plane. Yes, it can be made more comfortable with modernizations, but every upgrade leads to a huge increase in weight and cost and leaves you with no money in your pocket. There is also the airport problem. There are very few airports that can handle an aircraft as large as the AN-225. Ground handling equipment, baggage logistics, parking space, gate height, and jet bridge access need to be specially designed. Infrastructure constraints have even affected the A380, which is much smaller. The A380 looks almost manageable compared to the AN-225. This raises the following questions. Can it be made similar to the passenger aircraft of the AN-225? Does it make more sense to modernize it than to create a brand new super jumbo aircraft from scratch? Or is this an aviation fantasy that will exist only in our minds? The AN-225 would probably be too big, too expensive, and too complex for mainstream airlines. However, this giant of the sky may have found an unexpected place in some niche markets. Hajj and Umrah charter airlines. During peak periods, a Saudi Arabia-based company uses one of these aircraft to fly thousands of pilgrims to Mecca and back. High-volume Asian routes. Low-cost, high-capacity flights can be advantageous for routes such as Indonesia, Mecca, China, Thailand, and India, Oman. State-sponsored prestige projects. Some countries may support the aircraft as a show of strength and use it for international diplomacy, state visits, or exhibitions. Luxury air cruising initiatives. The aircraft could be converted into a flying palace with an air hotel similar to Sky Cruise, catering to ultra-luxury travelers. The AN-225's cargo compartment is about 1,200 cubic meters in size, the equivalent of about 5 medium-sized apartments. However, who says every seat has to be occupied? Martin, concept design ideas. Double-decker layout, premium at the top, economy at the bottom, or a combination of bars, lounges, and offices at the top. Sleeping capsules. Imagine long-distance sleeping capsules, perhaps 50 bunk beds for resting. Meeting rooms and movie theaters. Large seating areas for talking into the aircraft. Glass-floored walkways. Walk past the cargo bay and turn every step into a show. This may be a bit of an exaggeration, but it's fun to think about. It is clear that safety procedures, emergency exits, center of gravity, and weight distribution need to be redesigned. But none of this is impossible. Simply put, it is costly. So what routes would make sense for such a monster? London and New York, high density, high prestige. Delhi, Riyadh, religious demands and migrant labor force. Tokyo, Los Angeles, long distance travel potential and high volume. Hajj and Umrah routes from Istanbul to Jeddah. Long journeys through Dubai and Manila, and very tiring. But remember that this needs to be supported by infrastructure. The aircraft must be full. Otherwise, every flight becomes a commercial disaster. Let's assume for a moment that the engineering problem is solved. Even so, this dream may be dashed by high maintenance costs, certification difficulties, and operational logistics. Perhaps this is not the real issue. Perhaps the passenger version of the AN-225 was intended to be very practical and easy for people to fly. Perhaps it is about curiosity. This is a city floating in the sky, not just an aeroplane. A city with shopping areas, places of worship, playgrounds for children, virtual reality films, and even a medical unit. It's not traveling. This will be an adventure. A 12-hour flight across the Atlantic can turn into a full-fledged adventure. Think about it. A wedding with many people was held while flying above the clouds. On a flight from Japan to Paris, there is a sushi bar with a live chef, a mobile event venue that travels in the sky instead of landing. Although the passenger version of the AN-225 will never be able to operate as a scheduled airline, it can be used as a training and simulation platform, a luxury air hotel, a flight exhibition center, or a gateway to space tourism. Because, as we said, you can't go into orbit if you don't know how to fly. Perhaps this type of aircraft could serve as a bridge between today's jets and tomorrow's space planes. If this were to happen, would the 747 or A380 be left behind? Would the direction of aviation have gone in a different direction? We will never know. But one thing is certain. Although this aircraft has never taken to the skies as a passenger jet, it has already taken off in the dreams of dreamers. Perhaps the true significance of a dream lies not in its realization, but in the fact that someone had the courage to dream it. And now for the final query. Would you buy a ticket to a flying home? Or should the AN-225 continue to stand as a monument, not of functionality, but of potential? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. And maybe it's time to click on the red subscribe button if you are watching one of our videos for the second or third time. Unlike building AN-225, it is free, supports the channel, and will not cost you $500 million. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Kamaklank.